And we're live once again. And for anyone who is watching this not live, who is doing this as a past live stream thing, I apologize in advance for the stalling. I had to end the previous live discussion because of bad audio, apparently. So I'm delaying just a little bit. It has to be done so that someone can confirm that the audio sounds good this time. I want it to sound good before you can finish this. This should take an additional 20 minutes or go. But yeah, if anyone in the live chat can let me know if the audio sounds good, that would be much appreciated. We might have to experiment with turning off the visuals if it doesn't sound good this time. So, yeah. Hey, while we're waiting, younger me again. Like, I feel old. Good. Sounds good. Okay, so one and only Savage, were you watching the last live stream? Because if you weren't, I'm sorry in advance. We are continuing a discussion um from what was going on from that video, so this may or may not make a lot of sense. And I'm just nope. Yeah. Well, hey, I'm glad that you're here, but if it like I said, if this doesn't make a whole lot of sense to you, then okay. So I'm gonna reread the last paragraph because that's where the audio started getting a little cut up for everyone who was there. But we were discussing why doesn't Uber raise the rates, and the Forbes article gives us a very clear, or very at least pretty good hint on why not. Where they write, as for raising drivers' revenue share, Uber and its drivers are locked in a zero-sum game that leaves little room for generosity on either side. In fact, Uber's temporary profit margin improvement in 2016, albeit still yielding steep losses, was primarily driven by its decision to cut driver compensation rates. From its inception, Uber has consistently favored consumer satisfaction over driver welfare. For example, evidenced by its long-standing reluctance to allow in-app tipping, which even now is poorly executed, which has taken a heavy toll on driver satisfaction and retention. Recent studies have indicated that Uber's U.S. driver turn has sharply increased this year to rates as high as 96%. AKA, they can only keep 4% of their drivers, which I've reported on before, and that's not a surprise to me. Needless to say, it's hard and costly to maintain double-digit growth rates when only 4% of mission-critical de facto employees stay on the job for more than a year. As a result, Uber has been forced into perennially aggressive recruitment efforts, offering sign-up bonuses that can run well in excess of $1,000 on top of normal compensation for new drivers. I have never, ever seen a $1,000 bonus. Never. Never seen it offered. I have on Lyft's end, and the offer is not a great one when you really stop and look at it. But, you know, there's little reason to expect near-term relief in Uber's escalating driver recruiting costs, including the expense to maintain hundreds of physical green light hub locations that provide onboarding support in the coming years, especially since Uber faces vigorous competition from other enterprises also recruiting part-time drivers, including Lyft, Instacart, DoorDash, Postmates, Grubhub, and Amazon Flex. And by the way, Amazon Flex, they're the real wild card in all of this. I know they're not rideshare, but here's the thing. Even though Amazon is notoriously not profitable, they've been around long enough to the point where I'm defeatedly admitting they're not going anywhere anytime soon. And Uber is a company that their investors demand make money at some point. Amazon is a company where the investors never expected to make money. I have no idea why. So if anyone can afford to lose a lot of money on these things, it's Amazon. And Amazon has been aggressive in recruiting drivers. delivery people for their packages. And here's the thing, they have enough packages that honestly, those excessive drivers are always working. I keep reading so many stories from people who are doing much better with Amazon Flex than they are with Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, anything. And it's just it's frustrating to me personally because it's like one more market Amazon can monopolize. But uh I'm I guess we're not here to talk about Amazon. We're here to talk about Uber. Um this actually the article's almost over. So multiple management missteps have further hindered Uber's performance, fueling growing distrust from customers, drivers, and regulatory agencies. But Uber's existential challenge remains its broken business model, which is increasingly testing the patience and confidence of its investors. At its current burn rate, Uber cannot survive more than 2 years without additional injections of capital, which is highly improbable at anything like its current valuation. So here's the thing. I have been making these the day Uber died videos. The finale, I don't know when it's coming, to be perfectly honest. But here's the thing. People keep asking, where's your proof that Uber is disappearing in a couple of years? And it has largely hinged on the fact that they are not able to make money. They are unwilling to do what needs to be done to make money because if they do what they need to do to make money, they might lose too much business to the competitors, aka Lyft, to survive. And then on top of it, it's scandal after scandal. And here it is from the Forbes article. You can read it. It's in black and white right there. At its current burn rate, Uber cannot survive more than 2 years without additional injections of capital, which is highly improbable at anything like its current valuation. And they may not get any more infusions. And as Vampirette has just asked, what about Softbank? That's a good question. What about the deal with Softbank? Have you heard anything about it? Have they signed the deal? Signed the paperwork? What happened to SoftBank? I wonder. You know what? I recall SoftBank saying that that money, that infusion of capital, was on the basis that Travis Kalanick leave. Travis Kalanick refuses to leave. He refuses to sell a single share of Uber stock. Personally, can't prove it. This might very um this might very well not be true. I think the SoftBank deal is dead. I think it's dead. We haven't heard anything about it for a while. Uber was bragging about it up to high heavens. They're coming to save us. They're coming to save us. First of all, they were not coming to save Uber. As Harry Campbell's article pointed out, Uber was buying stock from. Did SoftBank go as Lyft? I'm just going to check that real quick, folks. SoftBank Lyft. I don't see anything supporting that claim, but there are articles that they would definitely consider investing in Lyft if it didn't work out with Uber. So, but yeah, I think the SoftBank deal is dead. I think it's dead. That deal would have only offered Uber enough cash to operate for another 2 months. And also, I've kind of come to the conclusion SoftBank doesn't help companies. What they do is they go in and they buy companies that are struggling, that have good ideas, that have potential to be big, but they're struggling, and they inject money into them. and that money they're injecting is not into the company. There's a little bit that goes to the company, but most of it is buying shares so that they can control it and take over it at some point. So I should have done this news story, but SoftBank actually invested 300 million in DoorDash. And again, it was largely a stock to cash transaction because DoorDash is hurting. They are hurting very much. The potential for a good idea is there, but it's not being utilized properly. So SoftBank bought some of DoorDash and they're going to hope to turn it around. And that's what they do. And for whatever reason, it doesn't appear that they're pursuing Uber anymore. That could be wrong. That could be very, very wrong. They could announce that they signed a deal with Uber, but it's been, gosh, a few weeks since we've heard anything about the deal. I mean, we heard about Disney coming back to the table to buy Fox after Disney had completely walked away faster than we've heard about SoftBank investing in Uber, who is supposedly still talking to them. So, you like a preacher, you can talk forever, bro. I'm going to take that as a compliment this time. I'm going to take that as a compliment because, by golly, you need to be able to talk like a preacher to be able to do a live stream for what is this, more than 40 minutes at this point. So anyway, um let's see here. This is this is the key paragraph. For everyone wondering why we've been discussing this, what all the problems with Uber is. Why did the rates get as low as they are? Why did they do this? Why did they do that? Why? Here's the paragraph. This explains it all. This explains it all. Are we ready? Hit the like button and the rates will go. I wish. From the beginning, Uber made a calculated bet that it could achieve global domination, wiping out both incumbent taxi companies and competing shared ride providers to be able to exercise monopoly pricing power in hundreds of metropolitan area markets. But it now appears Uber has lost this bet in its headlong rush into an industry that has historically exhibited low profit potential. Well, don't that just say it all? Now I'm going to read some of the comments. They are trying. David Pollen said they are trying to advance too fast in certain areas like driverless cars instead of just focusing on making sure the drivers and customer service base is stable first. Terry Tips said that's a comment. Oh, thank you. Love Terry Tips. Yeah, I'm kind of liking Terry Tips too. Vampire Rat says, raise the damn rates. Yeah. Well, you weren't here for the other. I don't think you were here for the other discussion, but we did discuss why they didn't raise the rates and why it's volatile to raise the rates. Boy, that discussion was going great. It's annoying that the audio apparently started going out. As the article continues to say, every major ride sharing company in the world is still experiencing steep losses after 5 or more years of operation, including Lyft, Ola, 99, and Didi Chuxing. And what we come back to, basically, from what we started with, and this is the key question we must ask ourselves. This is what we have to seriously think about, because I like Uber and Lyft as a concept in the sense that I like making my own hours. I don't believe in too much government regulation. I agree with as little government regulation as possible because bad ideas don't survive. They historically don't. And I think government should basically be there to ensure that people aren't getting paid below a certain amount and that a company isn't getting too much power. Aside from that, I think they should stay out of things. And yet, what's interesting is that they have largely done that with ride sharing. And ride sharing got too low and it got too big. And as we saw in the last discussion in early in this article, the taxi industry kind of went through this already and they screwed themselves. And now Uber and Lyft are doing almost the exact same thing and they're screwing themselves still. So here's the big question. And I'm very interested if anyone has any thoughts on this. Do you believe we can truly have ride sharing with little government intervention that can please the customers, pay the drivers well, not cause congestions, and not get too big for their own good? Is it possible? Dark Road Run said, very true. Just look at DMV government reg. Dan T, they would need to raise the rates anyway if they got self-driving cars. It wouldn't pay for repairs, etc. Well, that's true. Let's throw the self-driving cars in there as well, though. Let's say these industries ran on the self-driving cars tomorrow. Yeah, they'd need to raise the rates. Could the companies still be self-regulatory at that point? Because we'd be in this exact same situation. The whoever's the cheapest, that's who the customers are going to go to. The services don't differentiate enough to justify different services. And I was watching a video and the guy was talking about anime streaming. Pete Differ says no. Thanks. Yeah, that's simple answers are the best ones sometimes. He was talking about how he didn't feel that anime streaming services is something you should have to do. He argued that the only thing that the various services were doing was they had exclusive shows so that you had to sign up for various different services just to watch the shows you wanted. And it's like, but that the services weren't innovating, that they weren't doing anything unique. And so why would you not use the pirate sites, which were in many ways just as functional as the legal options? And he missed a very key thing there, and we've learned this with Uber and Lyft, is that sometimes, yeah, exclusive shows, that's what's going to sell your service. Because at the end of the day, it's very hard to have a very different type of streaming service. Because whether it be Funimation or Crunchyroll or Amazon Prime or Netflix, they're streaming shows. They have like a rating system. They have like a little mini review thing so people can share their thoughts on the show or movie if they want. But what can you honestly do that's drastically different other than the price? If the only thing that can differentiate them is the types of shows. But ride sharing does. Oh, that's interesting. Ride sharing doesn't even have that. Uber and Lyft, what is the service? You're getting a ride. For a while, Uber had Uber Black, but now Lyft is introducing a premium driving service. What is the difference? Seriously. And yet, we need more than one company. But how do you have more than one company when the services can't be differentiated that much? Darwin Rose, if Uber goes out, a new business would enter the market and bring a new competitor for Lyft. Probably. Pete Differ says they could survive, but government won't keep their greedy paws off. Well, and let me make one thing clear, because obviously the government has a right to charge taxes and stuff, and a little bit of regulation I am not opposed to. Yeah, Dark Roan said 2 different companies selling the exact same product. Yeah, I mean, honestly, is there a difference between Dasani and Aqua Fresh water and the Kirkland water? Is there any difference? I mean, jeez. I mean, I've had the water. That costs like 3 times as much as Dasani, and I can't tell the difference between the 2. Um, but I don't bel I'm not, okay, getting back to what I was saying. Uh, I don't I think the government should have some minor, very, very basic regulation. Fingerprinting, obvious. You have, you know, one ride has to pay the equivalent of minimum wage. Just in case you only get that one ride, you are officially making minimum wage. So, but really, surge is the only thing that differentiates sometimes, and that's why, again, I would like what I was talking about in the other video. I would love to see Uber and Lyft have like maybe some subscription type services. I wish Pull Up and Go had made it somewhat. I think they had a good idea. Instead of charging commission from the drivers, let's charge a subscription fee. But for whatever reason, they couldn't get off the ground. So it's just in you know, I don't know. Well, actually, let's get back to the bottled water for a second because it just dawned on me. The bottled water, every company has a bottled water, but they have a main product as well. Dasani is not the Coca-Cola company's main product. Coca-Cola is, as a Sprite. And I believe Aquafina is made by Pepsi. Pepsi has Pepsi and Sierra Mist and Mountain Dew. They all have different products. So that's the thing. Uber and Lyft need to do different types of services. So, like right now, Uber has Uber Eats and Lyft does not have that. Now, some people speculate Lyft will eventually make a Lyft Eats. Lyft might actually be best not to do that. Might want to say, hey, we will deliver packages like Amazon Flex, because packages would be a service and a product, Lyft packages, that Uber would not have. Maybe the key to these companies' future is not just in ride sharing, but other services they start to provide that their competitor will not provide or cannot provide. Um, Bread Knight says they regulate heavily when the airport is involved. Darwin Rhoda said, "How about airlines?" Um, most several comments about water just being tap. Um, and spring water is different from purified. I taste the same to me, to be perfectly honest. I'm sorry. uh, but you see, but here's the thing with airlines. You're right. Governments regulate the airlines, and in a sense, airlines kind of do what Uber does. They're flying you somewhere, but some airlines do locally. Some go internationally, and some do not. Some airlines have first class sections, some do not. They only have coach. There are some airlines that are big, some that are small. They're different size planes. Airlines have different planes and different services, so they go beyond just driving a car. I think the problem with Uber and Lyft is that while they do have other services, for the most part, we're just using regular cars. I'm driving a Toyota Corolla. There's a lot of other Uber and Lyft drivers driving Toyota Corollas, and those can be used for Uber, Uber Pool, Lyft, Lyft Line. There's not much of a difference. And once people need a van, then they could do Uber XL or Uber SUV. But those cars can be used for Uber X as well. So, um, Dark Road Run said Lyft and Tinder should merge. So, if that merger were to happen and someone uses a Lyft line and someone else gets in the car, does that mean the people sharing the car can have like a little ping pop up and say, "Hey, you both are single. Would you like to get coffee like to exchange information to get coffee later on? Swipe left or right." Actually, that yeah, if that feature had come along like a year ago, I might have totally used that. That'd have been awesome. So yeah, yeah, Tinder. It's like two girls, one lift line. That's the name of a sitcom right there. So yeah, the bottom line is this article that it just tells me I did not link to it in this video, but I will add it after the fact. It's yeah, Uber has fallen into the same traps that the taxi industry did. They raced to the bottom. They banked too much on having a monopoly that did not pan out. And now they're and I think there was one more thing. Yeah. So we're gonna end on this final paragraph from the article. It's not the bang moment like the last one was, but this is what the writer ultimately comes to conclusion. There are undoubtedly defensible segments of the global rideshare market that can currently sustain profitable operations. And in the foreseeable but distant future, autonomous vehicle technologies may improve industry economics. But for now, CEO Derek Kay will need some serious soul searching to rethink Uber's soaring ambition and penchant to win at all costs in all markets. On its current course, Uber's bridge to global domination is simply a bridge too far. And I think we can all agree on that one because we have seen them not come even remotely close to that global domination. And I mean, yeah, Enron was supplying all of California with their power. They were obviously never going anywhere, right? Uh Window, I mean, Microsoft PCs would never get overtaken by Apple's. Well, they didn't see the iPod, the iPad, or the iPhone coming, did they? Just because you're the verb. Oh, here's the best example. Best example. Um, for many years, when parents said go play video games, they said go play Nintendo because Nintendo had all the market share. Even if you had a Sega Genesis, go play Nintendo. A lot of people still say that, but how many people still own a Nintendo? The Switch is doing well, but there's a lot of PlayStations and Xboxes out there. Some people still say go play Nintendo. Just because you're the verb for an industry does not mean you own that industry forever. Dark Road Run said maybe Uber overestimated the market size of the taxi industry. Maybe. Oh, hi, anti Uber, and hi, Michael Moore. Wait, are you the Michael Moore? Because a couple of your movies suck, to be honest. Pete Differ said Netflix. Yeah, Netflix. When people say I'm gonna Netflix tonight, sometimes it just means streaming. I'm having a lot of fun with Fandor, by the way. Holy cow, Fandor is fun. There's a lot of unique stuff on that site. So, oops, 2.6 surge. Later, guys. Yeah, go get the surge if it's out there. we're pretty much we're pretty much done. Hmm. Yeah, my surge is look at that. Like surge surge isn't near me. So no, not that Michael. Okay. Love Canadian bacon, Michael Moore. Well, Canadian bacon, that's the only admittedly fictional thing Michael Moore has wrote. Personally, my favorite Michael Moore movie is Roger and Me. And I also like Sicko after that. I do like Blowing for Columbine a little bit, but that was definitely where I started to realize he was playing a little fast and loose with some of the facts. But you know what? Maybe I'll have a live stream about Michael Moore movies on my other channel. That could be fun. We could talk politics. Wouldn't that be fun? Well, anyway, it has been a long night. It has been more than an hour, I think, at this point. So I'd like to thank everyone who stayed up with me, sometimes way past their bedtime. I definitely appreciate that. I will try to have my next live stream be earlier. In fact, I'm not going to commit to it, but maybe Monday. Monday morning at around 9ish or 8:30, something like that. Maybe I'll live stream then. Who knows? We'll see what works out. So another great stream. Thanks. I think I'm getting a little better at the streams at this point. So I just wish we wouldn't have the technical difficulties we do. But hey, if it happens to Jermaine Ellis, I guess it can happen with me, right? So this hat is starting to. Oh. I love Christmas. I can't wait till Christmas is over so I can stop wearing this hat. It's driving me nuts at this point. It was cute at first, but what happened to the day Uber died finale? Work in progress. Work in progress. Basically, I need to that's something I need to write out and script. Because I've tried to make it several times and it's just not working right now. And so I just need to figure it out. But it will come. It will come. So 10 more days. Yep, 10 more days. Anyway, thanks everyone once again for watching. For those of you who missed the live stream, comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one. Have a good night. We talked when we started talking. It was Friday. Now it is Saturday. So have a good night. I guess I'm going to watch some YouTube. Have a good one.